The morning light filtered softly through Anna's curtains as though heaven itself was inviting her into a new beginning. She woke with a heaviness she couldn't exactly name, something between longing and weariness. It had been months since she felt truly sure of anything, but that morning was different. Something in her spirit nudged her toward honesty, toward surrender, toward God. As she sat on the edge of her bed, she whispered a quiet, trembling prayer. Lord, search me. Lead me into your will. The words felt both terrifying and freeing. She knew that when you ask God to search your heart, He reveals more than you expect, and He leads you farther than you imagine. The early days of her journey were unsettling yet holy. God began uncovering parts of her heart she had ignored for years. Fears that shaped her choices, disappointments she never truly gave to Him, and dreams she silently believed were impossible. Some mornings she woke with a lump in her throat, feeling exposed before God. But every day He met her with tenderness. It wasn't a harsh search of a judge. It was a loving examination of a father who wanted to heal what was broken. She learned to sit quietly, letting His presence wash over her like warm sunlight on a cold day. Slowly, her life began shifting. Little things stood out to her. Words people said, opportunities that came unexpectedly, closed doors that no longer hurt her, and small whispers in her spirit nudging her forward. She noticed that things she once forced no longer attracted her, and things she once ignored now felt meaningful. God was rearranging her steps, writing a story she didn't know she needed. One afternoon, she sat in a cafe reflecting on her life. For the first time in a long while, she realized she was tired of trying to control everything. She was tired of pretending she was fine. So right there, with quiet tears falling, she gave God her plans. She gave Him her fears. She gave Him her future. She said, lead me where you want me to be, even if it's not where I plan to go. That moment became a turning point. Simple, private, but powerful. As weeks passed, God began making His guidance clear. A job she once thought was perfect suddenly didn't feel right anymore, though it offered stability. Something inside her resisted. She prayed, waited, and listened. At the same time, new opportunities appeared, small at first, but carrying a peace she couldn't explain. God was teaching her to trust the gentle pull of His Spirit more than the loud demands of her circumstances. Then came the test that defined the season. She received an offer that would have thrilled her a year ago. Excellent pay, impressive reputation, and a path she used to dream about. But something felt off. That night, she couldn't sleep. She knelt beside her bed, whispering, Lord, search me again. Is this your will or just my desire? Morning came, and with it an unshakable peace leading her to turn it down. It was one of the hardest decisions she had ever made. People questioned her, even mocked her, but deep inside she felt God holding her. A few days later, the breakthrough came, a call from an unexpected organization, one she never applied to, offering her a role that matched not only her skills, but her purpose. It was the path she didn't know to ask for, but the one God had been preparing her heart to receive. She cried, not from surprise, but from recognition. This was what trust leads to. This was what surrender births. This was what happens when you allow God to search your heart and lead your life. As the season matured, Anna felt herself changing from the inside out. Her mornings became sacred times of stillness, where she listened more than she spoke. Her prayers shifted from asking for what she wanted to asking for what God wanted. Her decisions became easier because they were no longer forced. They flowed from a heart aligned with his voice. She no longer rushed. She no longer carried the weight of every choice or the fear of the unknown. She stepped into each day believing that God's will would meet her wherever she walked. By the final days of the season, her life looked simple on the outside, but within her spirit burned a quiet strength she had never known. She was no longer wandering, but being guided, no longer striving, but surrendered, no longer guessing, but discerning. She had learned that God was not found through pressure, but through presence, not through fear, but through trust. She ended the season the same way she began it, kneeling in morning light, but this time her heart was different. She whispered again, "Lord, search me and lead me into your will." But now it was not a request born from confusion. It was a declaration rooted in faith. She knew the shepherd who searched her could be trusted to lead her, and she stepped into the next chapter, ready for whatever he had prepared.